afternoon. My name is Val Burgess, and today we're going to talk about the Wyoming wage gap. What is Wyoming's wage gap? It's the difference between the income that a man makes versus a woman. Today the wage gap nationally is 77 cents per dollar. So what that means is that for every dollar a man makes, women make 77 cents. In Wyoming, generally, it's 63 cents for every dollar. In Sheridan County, it's 61 cents. In Johnson County, it's 57 cents. In Washakie County, it's 53 cents. There is a wage gap in Wyoming. Wyoming's wage gap is the largest in the United States. Help us close that wage gap. So how does the wage gap happen? So you and a friend, you are a woman, he is a man, you've both been trained, you graduate from college with the same degree, and you go to the same business and apply for a job. What happens? The wage gap begins there. You make a certain amount and he makes a certain amount. If you do not negotiate up, the beginning of the wage gap begins with you. You have got to negotiate your salary. Let's talk starting salaries. Let's say a woman starts in a new job. Maybe she's a graphic designer, maybe she's in a business office and she's a salesperson, and her income will be $30,000 a year. That's what the company has decided to pay her or what she's negotiated. And a man, let's say, starts at $35,000. It doesn't seem like much, but let's say at the end of that year she gets a $1,500 bonus, and then a man receives a $1,750 bonus. So that first year she makes $31,500 and the man makes $36,750. So do the math. Right now, in that first year out of college, in their first job, in the same position, he is paid $5,250 more than she is that year. You know, if you're going to lose money the first year, every year after that, you will lose money. So with the second year's salaries, the gap widens. The company looks at both people and they look at the salaries, and she gets a bump up. She's now making $34,000. She's a hard worker, let's pay her well. She's feeling pretty good about it. However, he's a real go-getter, and guess what? He's making $39,500. The bonuses that year, she's making $34,000 with a $1,700 bonus. He's now making $39,500 with a $1,975 bonus. And every year after that, without good negotiations up front, the wage gap gets wider and wider and wider. In actuality, the first year she was out $5,250. Now in the second year, she's out $5,775. The loss of income of $10,995 in 2 years. And over the working lifetime, that's $1.2 million. That's how the wage gap happens. There is gender bias in the workplace. Women, because they are child bearers, sometimes that's a concern. Maybe she's going to get pregnant. Maybe she won't be back after her pregnancy. Maybe she's going to go part-time after pregnancy. You know, we'll wait and see if we are going to invest in her. Even though she said she'd be back full-time, maybe she won't. Some of the gender biases towards men include, he's got a family to feed, those sorts of things happen. So he's going places, he's management, let's put him on the management track, let's give him a raise. Well, in actuality, she deserves both. Women sometimes don't feel they really need the money. They think, well, my husband makes enough. But imagine what your family life made if you were paid what you were worth and your husband is paid what you're worth. What you can do for your family is much, much greater than what you can making salaries that you just take instead of negotiate. So women do have the opportunity to make more money than their husbands, or equally what they deserve in the workplace. We as women rationalize, but don't. Here's what some women are saying. Gee, I didn't know I was worth that much. I'm so grateful just to have a job. Why should I fuss or ask for more? Perhaps they'll fire me if I do. Maybe he's got more than I have. That's why he's earning more. I needed the job, so I just took that salary. I couldn't afford to lose the opportunity, so I took what I was offered. Some women think, well, maybe he's worth more money than I am. Some women even think, I don't need as much money as he does to live, so it'll be all right. But they don't think long term. Think about the woman who has 2 children and she loses her husband. Perhaps they had difficulties, financial difficulties, and now she's making less and she's supporting a family. When women are doing the same job as men, they deserve the same pay as men. It is equal opportunity, and we as women need to stand up for ourselves. Okay, you need to negotiate for a job, so are you ready to do that? take a look at what you need to pay on a monthly basis. You've got possibly rent, you've got loans, food costs, transportation, perhaps childcare, insurance, clothing, some entertainment, utilities. I mean, there can be all kinds of reasons why you deserve just pay. And quite possibly you are the better of the two that's doing the job. Quite possibly you are equal to that man who has the same job and deserve to be paid equally. We're going to take a look at a website called wageproject.salary.com. The Wage Project website is a valuable resource. Please share it with your friends, men, women, share it with anyone who you feel needs to negotiate their salary better. We are going to show you how you can estimate what you deserve, what value you are, and this is really not about you. What this is about is the job that you are going to do and what you should be paid for the job. We're going to compare Casper, Wyoming and New York, New York for a certified nursing assistant. Now the salaries are different simply because demographically there are a lot of differences. There are less people in Wyoming, the cost of living is less. Just all of those things play in a factor. So when you're going to negotiate for a job, you really need to know where you're going to be, the location, so that you can compare those costs on the website to the location where you're going to be. So in Casper, Wyoming, a salary for a certified nursing assistant is $23,762. In New York, for the same job, it's $30,758. The cost of living for a certified nursing assistant in Casper, Wyoming is about $24,000. That's rounded dollars. And in New York, it's $31,000. The difference between the cost of living is that New York is about 105.1% higher than in Casper, Wyoming. Therefore, someone there would have to earn a salary of $49,215. Employers in New York typically pay 29.4% more than employers in Casper, Wyoming. Therefore, if you take the same job in the same type of company in New York, you're likely to earn $31,066, which is $49,215 minus the $31,066, and you have a salary of $18,149 higher than you would have in Casper, Wyoming. Now this is all relative to the cost of living, and so that's why it's important for you to take a look at the location where you are applying for a job. Make a budget. This is critical to your negotiations. You need to know what you need on a monthly basis so that you can pay your bills and have a little left over for savings, for a vacation, for whatever it is. So in your budget, you're going to include rent, your loans, whether it's a car loan, a mortgage loan, a college loan, your food costs, your transportation, your insurance costs, clothing, entertainment, utilities, childcare, telephone. All of those figures have to be factored in so that you can know what it is that you need when you negotiate for this job. It's important that you know that a salary negotiation does not occur until after you are offered the job. The reason you do this is that you want the employer to provide you with a number, and you do not ever give them a number until you get one from the employer. Do not negotiate until that point. The employer may ask you what you'd like, and you just say, well, what are you offering? However, this means that you are going to get what you want. So remember, salary negotiations do not begin until you are offered the job. I'd like to share with you several tactics that you can use in your negotiations. Your tone is incredibly valuable to your negotiation. It sets up everything that follows. You want to be positive in your tone, so you need to talk about what each other's needs are. You want to be persuasive in what you say to them. You need to be flexible about what you want. You need to know what you need, and you also need to listen to the employer's needs. You need to brainstorm your goals and their need. Correlation between aspiration and negotiation, there are results. Aim higher than your justifiable target. Know what your budget is and have a target range higher than that so that you can negotiate down if you need to. Never be the first to name a salary figure. Leave it blank on an application. If you're asked by your employer, say to them, I'll consider any reasonable offer. You want them to start the negotiations because that gives you a starting place for yours. If the potential employer, he's offered you the job, and if he says to you, okay, what do you want to make? You say, well, what do you feel that job's going to pay? And you always throw it back to them so you have a number of comments in your repertoire so that you never have to answer that question because you want him to give you a starting figure. Aim high and be realistic. Or you need a starting place that's above those budget figures so that you can work your way down if you need to, or maybe you don't. So have a number that's above your budget so that you have some negotiating room. Remember your benchmarking research. Remember your budget. Anticipate the employer's needs. Do your homework on the company, look at their website. If you know someone who works there, take the time to find out about them. You know, there are ways that you can find out about the company that will be valuable to you. Know the organization's goals, know about their products, know about the condition of their company. Specify how you could contribute day to day to their operations. Just do your research on them and find out. I mean, that may tell you whether you want to work for them initially or not. So sell yourself. You know, don't assume the employer is looking at your resume. So talk about your resume. Talk about the skills you've got listed. Talk about past jobs. Talk about the way you operated within those companies, and share that with them, because they don't always have the time to thoroughly go over your resume. I know I've looked at a number of people's resumes, and they don't really realize the valuable skill sets that they have learned from all the jobs, whether it was working in a restaurant, whether it was working in a grocery store. There were all kinds of skills that you learned that can be valuable in these negotiations. Think about the work you did as a waitress and how you learned to serve people, how you learned to be on time, how you learned to work extra hours, or you always completed a deadline. Those are the things in different kinds of jobs, even though they may have been a high school job, a college job. There are all kinds of skills that you have learned within a job that you need to use in your negotiations that can be very positive. And you are selling yourself, but what you're selling yourself for is the job and ultimately a good wage. So anticipate any objections to what you've said. You know, refer to your preparation for the interview, refer to your preparation through your work life. Listen closely and think about what they're saying. Sometimes I know I get so busy wanting to talk that I don't listen to what they're asking me. So be sure that you listen long enough and hard enough that you can hear what they say. Sometimes it's a really good habit to just repeat what they say. And so you've said, and you repeat what they said to you. And then it gives you also time to think about what is on your resume that relates to that particular job skill. This is really about what you can do for the company and what the company can do for you. It's a symbiotic relationship. You want to sell them your skills so that they know that you are the person that they want to hire. So be certain that that's what you focus on. Don't tell them your personal life. You really want to focus on the question that they ask you and focus on what you can provide them as an employee. The starting point for salary negotiations. Until you've been offered the job, you are not going to negotiate that number. But when you are, you've got to know the rates for the area, you've got to have a developed target salary, you've got to have your budget, you've got to know the market conditions, you've got to know your minimum salary, and you've got to know the value of reasonable benefits package. Those are vital to your negotiations. Remember that the salary is a mutually agreed upon number and that it's for the benefit of both of you. So do it with confidence. So in the salary negotiations, the employer says, "Do you have a salary in mind?" And you reply, "I will take any reasonable offer. What do you have in mind? Any other suggestions?" And let the employer be the first to name a figure. Remember, your starting salary is about your future. So you're going to get a starting offer from the employer. Listen to the employer's exact words. If he says, "Here's my offer," then the process begins. If the employer says, "Here is my final offer, here is the only offer," there are no negotiations. So you need to listen carefully to what is being said. If they offer you the job, it means they want you, and they want you in that position. It means that you are the best candidate for the job. How does that dollar amount fit with you? Does it benchmark what you've researched? Is it above or below? Does it fit your budget? Is it above or below? And with your research and the work that you've done ahead of time, you're prepared to make a decision and then move forward with the negotiations. Remember that the salary you negotiate is the baseline for your future work life. You will most likely never make less than that negotiated salary. So it's critical that whatever position you take, you negotiate it to its maximum potential. The higher your salary, the higher your raises will be. The better your Social Security, the better your benefits, the better opportunity you will have for your future. These negotiations are critical because this is where you lose or gain dollars in your work life and your future. Remember, when you negotiate, there is more than just salary. There are benefits that you need to pay attention to. Benefits are critical to the negotiations simply because the higher the benefit package, the more you are going to make. So when you are negotiating this and you have a base salary and it's somewhere in your benchmark, then you start looking at the benefit package of what is going to be offered to you. Refer to your list of benefits from the website. Check to see if the employer offers each benefit. Ask the employer if he offers other benefits. Ask the financial support for each benefit offered. Add up the value of offered benefits to see if they compare to your benchmarking work. Think about other benefits that you might introduce that also might add value to your negotiations. There are numerous benefits and benefit options that you need to look at before you start negotiating. You've got bonuses, Social Security, 401k, 403b, disability, health care, pension, time off, and quite possibly you could have time at home where you work from home, and in a daycare within the facility where you work. Perhaps you can get them to pay part of your cell phone or for your cell phone, or dollars towards your vehicle. There are all kinds of ways that you can negotiate. Perhaps you want days off in trade for some of that. You could negotiate more vacation time. These benefits are as valuable to you as the starting salary. So if the benefits are equal or good, that's great for you. If they're not, see if you can't negotiate up for those. Here are some things that you can do. If they're much smaller, then what are you going to do? Perhaps you don't want this position. Whatever the reason, the employer is not offering competitive benefits is really not your concern. Can you go elsewhere and get better benefits? That's something you'll have to consider. Don't penalize yourself for not negotiating for benefits. However, know that benefits are incredibly valuable to you. Be creative about the ways that you make up benefit shortfalls. Like I said, maybe you get extra days off. Maybe you can go to your children's soccer games. Maybe you can have them pay for your cell phone. There are many ways that you can negotiate benefits. Here are some additional benefit options. Signing bonuses, relocation expenses, faster promotions, larger bonuses, on-site free daycare, college courses. Be creative, research your options. Be aware also of items that have little monetary value, but in terms of your work and your life will be incredibly valuable. When the offer is made, there's a number of other things that you need to pay attention to. They are, what are the promotional opportunities? To what position level can you rise within that company? How and when will your performance be reviewed? When will this include a salary review? And what kind of salary progression would be expected in the first 3 to 5 years? It pays to do this work. You will know what you are worth. You will know what the job is worth. Is a starting point for your work life and salary for the rest of your life. The salary that you negotiate today will change everything for you. It will be the basis for every job you have in the future. Pay attention, do your homework, and negotiate. Bring some of that $1.2 million back to your life. This is how you will prevent the wage gap.